The day I decided to stop being poor wasn't glamorous, nor a triumphant movie scene where everything magically changes. No, it was a silent, awkward, almost miserable day. A day where no one applauded me, no one supported me, no one believed in me. It was a day where I had to face myself. And that is the hardest battle there is. I remember waking up that morning before the alarm clock rang. Not because I was motivated, but because I couldn't sleep anymore. Reality hurt. There was an empty feeling in my chest, as if each day was a copy of the previous one. I looked at the ceiling and thought, is this it? Is my whole life going to be like this? Work, pay, survive, and start over. And the most painful thing wasn't my financial situation. The most painful thing was feeling like I had no control. It was feeling like life was deciding for me, that the world had already assigned me a place, and that place wasn't the one I wanted. I stood up, walked to the mirror, and saw my tired face. Dark circles, worry, frustration. There was no shine in my eyes. There was resignation. And that word, resignation, is more dangerous than poverty itself. Because a poor person with hope can change their destiny, but a resigned poor person is already dead in life. That day, as I was getting ready for a job that didn't fulfill me, I had a thought that hit me like a brick in the head. I'm living a life designed so that I never have time, never have money, and never have freedom. And for the first time, instead of ignoring that thought, I listened to it. I began to remember all the times I was taught to settle. Be grateful for what you have. At least you have a job. Not everyone can be rich. Money isn't that important. Work hard and one day you'll do well. But the reality was different. There were people who worked less than me and lived better. There were people who earned more, even though they weren't smarter. And there were also people who had dared to think differently, and the world had rewarded them. Then I asked myself, what if the problem isn't money? What if the problem is me and the way I think about money? That's when I understood. No one taught me to be free. They only taught me to be functional, to obey, to survive. That was the first reality check. I'll never forget that day. It wasn't spectacular. There were no fireworks. No one gave me a motivational speech. It was silent, painful, uncomfortable. I looked in the mirror, and for the first time, I told myself the truth. I'm tired. I'm tired of living like this. Tired of surviving. Tired of waiting. Tired of watching others move forward while I went around in circles. Tired of feeling like nothing would change even if I tried half-heartedly. And that day, instead of playing the victim, I took responsibility. I didn't blame the government. I didn't blame my parents. I didn't blame my past. I said something that hurt, but it freed me. I'm here because of my choices, and I'll leave here with new choices. That was the awakening. It wasn't motivation. It was anger with my own complacency. That night, while everyone was asleep, I was still awake. And I thought, what if the problem isn't the world? What if the problem is how I think, how I act, how I decide? That's when I realized something brutal. Poverty is not just a lack of money. It's a mental system. It's a set of habits, excuses, and beliefs that bind you, even when you don't realize it yet. That day, for the first time in my life, I asked myself, what if I can learn to think like the rich before I become rich? It was a dangerous, powerful, new idea, and I clung to it as if it were my last chance. It wasn't a goal. It wasn't a wish. It wasn't hopefully someday. It was an internal decision. I'm not going to die poor. I'm not going to settle for surviving. I'm going to build a life worth living. And mind you, I didn't say tomorrow. I said, start today. That day I didn't become a millionaire. I didn't buy a $1,000 course. I didn't start a company. I did simple things, but I'd never done them like this. I looked up videos of successful people and instead of admiring them, I started imitating them. I read 10 pages of a book even though it made me sleepy. I started writing down my ideas.
I closed out friends who only complained. I stopped spending on stupid things because I deserve it.
I started saving, even if it was just a little. I asked someone who was more advanced than me. I started saying no to people, plans, and habits that weren't getting me anywhere. Small steps, but this time with intention. And when you start to change, the world reacts. Those around me noticed. Then came the phrases, "What's wrong with you? You're getting too big for yourself. That's not for people like us. Dream, but keep your feet on the ground. You've always been like this, you're not going to change." It hurt because it came from friends, sometimes from family. For a moment, I hesitated, but I remembered they speak from their fears. I act from my decision. I'm not going to lie to you. The hardest thing wasn't the environment, it was my head. My mind told me, "You won't be able to. It's too late. What if you fail? What if you make a fool of yourself?" And then, I had to learn something no one ever taught me. To change your life, you must first silence your old inner voice. That voice that protects you, but also limits you. That voice that wants comfort, not growth. I had to respond with something new. I'd rather fail trying than continue dying slowly without doing anything. And then, something magical happened. Very small, but it changed everything. One day someone said to me, "Hey, you've been looking different lately." They didn't mean it as criticism. They said it with admiration. And I felt a fire burning inside. And I thought, it's working. I'm changing. And they're noticing. That day I confirmed, the change is real. It's slow, but it can be felt. There's no turning back. When you change inside, life begins to push you forward. Ideas come to you. People come to you. Information comes to you. You begin to see opportunities you previously ignored. Not because the world changed, because you changed the way you look. And then I understood, success isn't chased. Success is attracted with the person you become. Here comes a phase. I'm no longer a victim. I'm no longer asleep. I'm no longer living on autopilot. I've awakened. I've decided. I've taken my first steps. I've withstood criticism. I've overcome my initial fears. I've seen the first spark of change. And now comes the most important thing. After awakening comes the transformation. Not just thinking differently, living differently. Not just wanting to change, breaking with everything that kept me poor. Many believe that when you make the decision to change, life becomes easier. Lie. When I decided to stop being poor, no magic happened. War arrived. A war against my old habits. A war against the pressure of my surroundings. And above all, a war against myself. Changing my life isn't about saying, "I want more money." It's about destroying the version of yourself that keeps you where you are. And that version doesn't go without a fight. I had to break habits that were part of me. Crossmark stop waking up late. Crossmark stop spending on instant pleasure. Crossmark stop procrastinating because I deserve to rest. Crossmark stop complaining and start looking for solutions. Crossmark stop acting without a plan. Crossmark stop looking for quick results. And the hardest part, Crossmark let go of the need to feel comfortable. Because comfort is the most potent poison for growth. No one says it, but changing your life hurts because you're left alone. My friends were still the same. Parties, rumors, alcohol, video games, complaints from the boss, talking about others. I didn't fit in there anymore. I tried to keep them. But when you start to grow, there are people who feel threatened by your change. They told me, "You think you're better than us. You've gotten on your nerves. You're not the same anymore." And it was true, I wasn't the same. But it hurt to lose them. There were nights when I felt totally alone. Without friends. Without support. Without anyone who understood what I was trying to do. And I discovered an uncomfortable truth. To transform your life, you first have to be willing to walk alone for a while. Everything around you is designed to make you normal again. Family tells you, get a stable job and don't take risks. Society tells you, stick to the safe path, don't dream too much. The bosses tell you, stay, I'll take care of you. The bank tells you, get into debt, pay little by little, it's okay. The whole world was shouting at me, go back to your box. Because a free person is dangerous to the system. I thought, if I work hard, the results will come quickly. Huh, life taught me a brutal lesson. You work, 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 and you don't see results at first. And that's where many give up. Because the brain wants proof. A sign. Something that says, yes, you're doing well. But at first, there is nothing. I sowed, with no harvest. And one day I said to myself, what if all this is a waste of time? I was about to return to the old way, to the safe way, to the comfortable way. I was about to give up. There was a day, it almost ended. I felt empty. No money, no results, no support. I remember sitting on the floor, frustrated and tired. I said in a low voice, maybe I wasn't born for this. That phrase almost killed me. Doubting yourself is an abyss. At the bottom of that abyss, I asked, do I return to my old life or fight for a new one? Through silence and pain, I answered, I'd rather die trying than live with regret. It was a cold decision, not emotion, but commitment. I stood up, reborn. From that moment, I stopped looking for shortcuts. I understood. Growing up hurts. Changing identity is uncomfortable. Reprogramming yourself is exhausting. High standards feel lonely. Building wealth is slow at first. But I also understood. Discomfort is temporary. Discipline creates freedom. Sacrifices build character. Patience pays off more than speed. What seems impossible today will be normal tomorrow. I changed my mind, and my mind changed my life. I started doing things most people never do. I read daily, learned from mentors, and analyzed mistakes. I invested in education before pleasure, practiced valuable skills, and managed money strategically. I visualized who I wanted to be, acting from the future, not the past. I stopped asking, how much does it cost? And started asking, how much will it make me? I stopped saying, I can't, and started asking, how can I? I stopped looking for motivation and started building discipline. Then, something began to happen. Life, little by little, began to respond to me, not with gifts, but with opportunities. I met different people, learned new things, and doors opened that I hadn't seen before. Each small victory fueled my faith fueled my effort, and my effort generated more results. It was as if the universe was telling me, you finally understood. Now, let's move forward. This part was the hardest. I almost gave up, lost friendships, and faced loneliness. I fought my habits, endured frustration, and rebuilt myself from the ground up. But this is where I forged myself, where my mindset became unbreakable, where I want to change became I will change. Now, after surviving the storm, comes the part everyone wants to hear, how I went from surviving to building wealth, purpose, and freedom. This is where effort pays off. When I rebuilt my mind, my life moved differently. It wasn't luck or magic, it was consequence. When you change inside, the outside world reorganizes. Step 1. I discovered the value of skills. I understood what school didn't teach. Money comes from value, not time, and value comes from your skills. Poor people sell hours, rich people sell solutions. I stopped asking, who pays me a salary, and started asking, what problem can I solve that people would pay for? That changed everything. I then asked, what skills do rich people have that I don't yet? I began to study them obsessively: communication, sales, strategy, leadership, marketing, investment, networking, digital business, emotional control, decision making under pressure. While others sought entertainment, I sought evolution. Step 2. From consumer to creator. Most people consume mindlessly. Rich people think differently. They create content, solutions, businesses, and communities. I stopped consuming mindlessly and started to create. I wrote ideas, recorded content, and shared my learnings. I helped others, adding value even when unknown. I discovered when you add value, money starts looking for you. Step 3. The power of multiple sources. I used to think I needed the perfect job. Wrong. Rich people have systems, not just one income. I started with a main job to survive and a second income freelancing. I sold digital services, created products, reinvested profits, multiplied channels, and automated processes. I turned active income into passive income. It wasn't fast or easy, but each new source gave me oxygen. For the first time, I felt partial financial freedom. Step 4. Apply the rich rule. I learned a rule that blew my mind: invest first, spend later. Poor people collect, spend, save. Rich people collect, invest, use the earnings to spend. I didn't earn much, but I started thinking like a rich person. Every dollar that came in, I asked myself, how do I turn this into more money? And so I started investing in education, tools, advertising, skills, digital assets, small businesses. And guess what? The money started coming back multiplied. Step 5: the power of the right people. Just one right person in your life is worth more than 100 courses. I discovered that the right environment accelerates you, the wrong environment destroys you. I started hanging around ambitious people, people who talked about goals, investments, growth mindsets. And something magical happened. They taught me what they knew. They showed me real shortcuts. They opened doors for me. We believed together. And I understood one of the keys to wealth. The right people are a multiplier. But here comes the uncomfortable truth. Many believe that when you start making money, everything is bliss. No, making money is just the beginning. The hardest part wasn't making money. The hardest part was becoming someone capable of managing it. Because money amplifies who you are. If you're messy, it'll go away. If you're emotional, you'll lose it. If you're insecure, you'll hide it. If you have a poor mindset, you'll destroy it. That's why so many people touch money but don't build wealth. I almost lost it all too. Here comes the most important thing: how I kept the money, how I scaled my income without going back, how I built true freedom, how I went from surviving to living with purpose. When I started earning more money, many thought, that's it, he's done it. But this is where most fail, because making money is one skill, maintaining it is another, multiplying it is a whole other thing. I understood that the real enemy is not poverty, it's comfort. When I was living in crisis, I was hungry for change. But when I started to feel well, comfort began to whisper to me, relax. You've already earned more than before. Enjoy yourself a little. Comfort is sweet, but it's poison. Comfort is the trap that makes people rise and then fall. I looked in the mirror and said, I didn't come to be average. I came to become a legend. 2. I created systems, not effort. When I was poor, I worked hard. But working hard has a limit. Rich people don't work hard, they work smart and create systems that work for them. I asked myself this question every day: how do I make this work without me? And I started to automate tasks, delegate operations, standardize processes, create income funnels, build digital assets, set up structures that generated money even while I slept. That was the difference between making money and being free. 3. I changed my financial identity. This point is key. Changing habits isn't enough. You must change who you think you are. Poor people identify with scarcity. I'm no good anyway. I'm bad with money. That's not for me. I destroyed that identity. And I started repeating to myself, I am a creator of opportunities. Money feels safe with me. I am designed to impact and multiply. My mind is my greatest asset. I am a wealth magnet. This isn't an empty affirmation. It's a profound reprogramming. And when your identity changes, your decisions change. Your actions change. Your results change. 4. I embrace the law of leverage. This principle is used by all the rich. There are 4 forms of leverage: other people's money, other people's time, other people's skills, other people's platforms. The poor me thought, I have to do everything alone. The rich me thought, how do I accomplish 10 times more with the help of others? That mental shift catapulted me. 5. I invested more in my mind than in my social life. When I started making money, many people started inviting me to parties, trips, outings. Tempting. But I had learned my lesson. The poor celebrate before their time. The rich celebrate when they already have true freedom. I chose the difficult path: expensive courses, real mentors, masterminds, advanced books, formative experiences, silence, study, focus. While others spent money to impress, I invested in evolving. Today I understand why. The mind of a rich person is worth millions. 6. I understood the fundamental difference between money and wealth. Money is merely paper, a temporary medium. Wealth, however, is freedom. It's sustainable and continuously reproduced, unlike money, which is simply spent. Many acquire money quickly, but lose it just as fast because they fail to build essential elements like assets, systems, multipliers, and purpose. I stopped chasing money and instead focused on building wealth, which revealed a brutal truth. The poor work for money, the middle class saves money. The rich, however, have systems that create money, and the truly free possess a mindset that generates infinite systems. My life transformed when I began asking, what would the millionaire version of me do in this situation? I consistently chose actions that aligned with my vision, not what was comfortable, fast, or safe, making this question my unwavering compass. Purpose became paramount, understanding that wealth without impact or meaning can lead to emptiness and fear. Aligning wealth with purpose multiplied my energy, expanded my vision, transformed my work into art, and grew my influence limitlessly. The most important rule: never forget your origins. Money changes lifestyle, but essence must remain. I constantly recall the shame of not paying, the helplessness, the fear of an empty account, and hitting rock bottom. These memories fuel my continuous growth, my drive to help, and my hunger, because forgetting hunger leads back to poverty. If this journey resonates with you, subscribe now because the next section reveals the exact steps for your financial transformation, even from zero. Ready for the final part? We'll explore the step by step guide, the mind map, and the system I used, showing how you can achieve it too. Step 1: accept the truth. Your current situation stems from your mindset, not external circumstances. For years, I blamed everything else until I realized poverty begins in the mind, not the pocketbook. I thought small, feared investment, and doubted my capabilities, but taking 100% responsibility brought back my power. Step 2: kill the previous self. Success isn't about adding, it's about eliminating what destroys you. I identified and destroyed limiting beliefs, poor habits, negative environments, victim thinking, excuses, and fears disguised as logic. This wasn't easy or fast, but each elimination birthed a powerful new part of me. Step 3: learn high value skills. The world pays for solutions, not just time. I sought skills that transform poverty into wealth, discovering $7 million skills: sales, communication, marketing, negotiation, problem solving, leadership, and money multiplication. Remarkably, these skills are not innate, they are all learnable. Step 4: build scalable income. Earning by the hour limits you, earning through systems brings freedom. I progressed from freelance services to digital products, then platforms, automation, and finally, global scale. An hour of work can pay once or thousands of times, depending on its application. Step 5: reinvest like the rich. Don't spend like the poor. The poor spend everything, the middle class saves, but the rich reinvest. I adopted a rule: 70% reinvested in growth, 20% kept in reserve, and 10% for intentional living. Every dollar worked for me, eventually generating more money without my direct presence, marking the beginning of my freedom. Step 6: choose your environment strategically. Your surroundings either elevate or destroy you. I replaced conformist friends with ambitious mentors, empty conversations with growth ideas, and complainers with executors. Your average income mirrors that of your 5 closest contacts. Changing my circle changed my destiny. Step 7: exponential leverage. A single action can yield 10, 100, or 1,000 results with leverage. I utilize technology, social media, automation, teams, platforms, other people's capital, and reputation as fuel. I stopped working alone and started building systems, people, and tools, igniting a powerful fire. Step 8: long term identity. It's about becoming someone who will never be poor again. I affirmed, I don't chase money, I build wealth, I don't think in months, I think in decades, and my value is in what I create. When your identity shifts, your life aligns with it. Step 9: living with purpose, the hidden drive of wealth. I asked myself, why do I truly want to be rich? My answer wasn't for luxuries, but for freedom to help loved ones, make an impact, and change generations. When money became a tool, not the end, Everything multiplied. The universe responds to purpose, not ego. Step 10. Making decisions like my millionaire version. This was the master key. Every decision I asked, what would my millionaire version do, and acted accordingly, even before becoming one. Eventually, I became that version. I transitioned from poverty to stability, then to abundance, from abundance to purpose, and finally to freedom. The day I truly stopped being poor wasn't when I made money, it was when I fundamentally changed who I was. If this story moved you, if you're tired of surviving, if you know you were born for more, this is your moment. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and stay with me because in upcoming videos, I'll show you step by step how to build your financial freedom. It doesn't matter where you start. What matters is who you decide to become.